Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
The reasons that you thought this would be the best fit for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one of the biggest reasons, number one reason, is a chance to win, and not just win a couple games, but it's win a World Series. And I think this team has the ability to do that.
What have your impressions been of this lineup and this team in general?
Glad not to face them anymore. I'll say that. Yeah, their lineup has always been one of the best lineups in baseball. So I'm happy to be on the good side of that rather than having to game plan for them and figure out how to get these guys out. Get to watch them and root for them. So that'll be a added bonus for sure, watching these guys.
You said this is a team that you think can win a World Series. Obviously, you were on a World Series contender last year.
Baltimore Oriole Chris Bassitt, as thank you to the Baltimore Banner for that from Saturday. After the signing became official on Friday night. Chris Bassitt, officially a Baltimore Oriole over the weekend. Good morning. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio, a President's Day edition. I have stuff I want to talk about. It sure as hell isn't the NBA All-Star Weekend. But, you know, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into, and God bless you. I have nothing to say about the Daytona 500. If you're into that, God bless you. These things don't do anything for me. I certainly was into the Syracuse-Maryland lacrosse game on Friday. That was great. Obviously, the result wasn't great for Maryland, but the game itself was excellent.
What are you, a Syracuse fan?
No, it was just a great game. That's the way that it goes sometimes. Sometimes games are just really good, even if the result isn't. I enjoyed that this weekend. I enjoyed a very good curling weekend, a very exceptional curling weekend. And
You're also a Team Canada fan, aren't you, probably?
No, certainly not that. And I watched a good bit of hockey.
I don't think they're doing anything wrong, do you?
I'm going to be distracted by the fact that the U.S. women are playing right now against Sweden in the semifinals. So, yeah, that's what got my attention this weekend. I would be lying if I told you I spent any amount of time watching Maryland Rutgers yesterday, because I did not. I thought about it, and then my kids wanted to go see Zootopia 2. I have no idea what the interest it is. Zootopia is just not the franchise for me.
I heard it was good.
It's fine, and nothing more than fine. It is. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I took them. I did that. Spent the day with the kids. Went.
And then you told them how much you hated it afterwards.
Nope. Didn't even do that. I didn't watch any of Maryland Rutgers because why would I do that to myself? Now, for what it's worth, I'm also not worked up by it. I think the reaction afterwards obviously has a lot more to do with a nugget that was passed along during the broadcast by Dave Sims, of all people, who was on the call, Yankees play-by-play voice and longtime friend of ours. Dave Sims called the game and brought up that Maryland started their day at 5:30 a.m. with a chapel service, which, of course, you know would mean that they actually started their day before that. If they had to be at chapel at 5:30, that's meant that the day started more like along the lines of 5 o'clock or so. And Buzz Williams, after the game, explained the thought process a little bit anyway. He laid out the way that they do things, As yes, I don't. Harrison Rich apparently is the basketball writer for the Diamondback, the student newspaper. He explained that the team had chapel at 5:31, and Buzz Williams said, "We haven't always stayed at hotels that have big rooms throughout my career, but our itinerary is always based on game time, not just day of, but 2 games before and 1 day before. And so at Minnesota, we played a 1 o'clock tip. So I think that we had chapel at 6:01 a.m., rebounding clips at 6:31 a.m., and then we were in the gym at Minnesota at 7:01 a.m. And this morning it was 5:31 a.m. chapel, 6:01 a.m. rebounding clips, 6:31 a.m. here in the gym." Now, far be it from me to be a person that questions the way that a coach runs his program because, believe it or not, I don't have a lot of success in my own coaching career. I am an undefeated curling skip. Everybody knows that about me. And I have helped out a little bit with kind of coaching with some of my kids' sports. But no, I have not succeeded much as a coach. I think there's twofold. The reaction to this yesterday is twofold. I think the first part of the reaction is the sheer time part of it, which is the idea of doing anything with a group of college kids before 6 a.m. And admittedly, I think we all have to recognize that college athletes are a little bit different than your average college kid, which doesn't mean that there aren't nights with college athletes maybe get 4 hours of sleep and then go to it. Even when I was in college, sometimes I worked at 6 a.m., whether it was in this business or in a previous life when I worked at like a retail store. I would just kind of be up until 2 and then go to work at 6. And was it healthy? Was it a good idea? No, but it was what we did. Now, I was not quite as conditioned as your typical athletes. I'm going to guess that the players on this team probably weren't up until 2 in the morning on Saturday night at Rutgers. I'm just going to guess. But maybe some of them were. I think there is room to question the wisdom. But I do understand the thought process of, we don't want you to still be sluggish. Imagine if the answer was, you can wake up at 10 and then go play a basketball game at 12.
Could work. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't seem
Maybe
smart
that's-
either. I don't know exactly what the line is between what's the appropriate time to wake up. I'm sure there have been lots of studies done about what the appropriate time is for you to be at your peak condition for game time. And I'm going to bet that Buzz Williams has done some of those studies, or at least looked at some of the results of those studies. I don't think that he's utterly dismissing those. Does that require 5:30 a.m.? I don't know. But if science says it's best for an athlete to have been moving around for 6 hours before they play in competition, then I'll listen to it. And you have to hope that the players on the team buy in and are really willing to go to bed at 9 o'clock in order to take advantage of that. It's sort of beyond my pay grade to dive in on, hey, do you get the sense that all the guys on the team are willing to go to bed at 9 o'clock and do go to bed at... I don't have the time to dive in that type of reporting. I can tell you that I worry there is this stigma that exists that is cultural and generational that equates those that stay up late with laziness. And this stigma that suggests that waking up early is the antithesis to laziness. That if you wake up early and get your day going and other people don't, they're lazy, you're up and at 'em and go get 'em. As if, people couldn't work later at night. As if there's some correlation between early mornings and harder working. Undoubtedly, when I was a younger man, I would stay up late because I wanted to party or play video games or whatever the hell I was doing. But in my adult life, I would regularly stay up late because it was the most peaceful time for me to get work done. I wasn't being bothered by other things. My kids went to bed. It's almost like there's no correlation between time and laziness. The correlation is between laziness and laziness. If you're lazy, you can be lazy at 6 a.m. the same way that you can be lazy at midnight. Believe it or not, you can play video games at 6 a.m. too. And, of course, that's dangerous because now people get paid to play video games. So, I mean, it's a whole different world. But you can do lazy things at any time during the day. It's just that the most hard-ass people you know believe that there is some correlation between early mornings and not being lazy. That isn't real, has never existed, no matter how hard or how much you want it to, because you're one of those people. I don't have any reason to believe. Buzz Williams says, we base our schedule on whatever time the game is, which would suggest that that's because there's been research done about what the best amount of time is. And if that's the case, then all's good. I hope that everybody buys in. I hope that everybody's at the peak. Obviously, someone would laugh about the idea if that's their peak physical condition, then what is it when they're at their worst? But, you know, I'm willing to listen because I don't know better. I hope that the schedule isn't just about an obsession with early mornings and avoiding late nights, because that's what I think it should be, and it's really based on science. I hope that's the case. A lot of the questions were related to uniquely it being chapel service that was scheduled for 5:30 in the morning. The easiest thing to say is, wouldn't chapel be just as effective at 5:30 in the afternoon as it would be at 5:30 in the morning? And again, this goes back to the question about science. If science says an athlete should be awake for 7 hours before playing, then it kind of doesn't matter if it's chapel service or if that's the time they do
breakfast,
rebounding,
sure,
video, whatever it is. It happens to be chapel, but it could be anything. If they've decided that these guys need to be awake 7 hours before they play a game, then it could just be replaced with something else. I think the other part of the question is, why are we doing chapel at all? And for some people, they probably like it. I'm guessing Drew Forrester loves that Maryland basketball hosts a chapel. Other people would have questions about the Establishment Clause and the idea of a public university potentially forcing students to go to chapel, which we all know would be, illegal, not something you can do. I have broached this subject a few times. It has been asked of me whether chapel is mandatory for Maryland basketball players. I have kind of avoided it because I think there's a culture problem with Buzz Williams. I think there's a culture problem with the relationship between Buzz and the University of Maryland. I've got lots of opinions. I don't really feel like having a religious war. I really don't. In fact, even when I brought up in my column that the only thing that we know about Buzz Williams is that he's religious, I had a religious warrior who was trying to battle me about it. Do you even hear yourself? You're suggesting it's a problem that Buzz Williams is religious. No, the problem is that's the only thing we know about him. I don't care if you're religious or not. I care if you're winning. If you're not winning, then all these other things become a problem. And if all we know about you is religion, that will play with a very specific group. And probably a larger group at other places, but here, a smaller group. I have no concern as to whether or not Buzz Williams is religious. I don't I have complicated feelings about the role of prayer within public institutions, right? I think we all know that with the Ravens, prayer was very public in the John Harbaugh era. You would see it regularly in those locker room videos, right? But the Ravens don't have an obligation. They're not a public institution. I mean, we could have a deeper conversation about that because, you know, the NFL receives. I don't want to get into that. But I have complicated feelings about it. Like, a lot of people really love the video of, like, Buzz Williams praying with his Virginia Tech team after they lost in the NCAA tournament. For certain people, that really plays. For me, it doesn't. For me, I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's something that should happen at a public university, but I don't want to. It's this weird thing. I don't want to take it away either. I have no problem. If you are at a public place and public institution and you want to pray, by all means, pray. But if it feels like it's mandatory, if it feels like you have to participate, that becomes a problem for me. Because that is where it sort of crosses into the Establishment Clause. And there being very good reasons for us to have a separation of church and state in this country. I asked if chapel was mandatory. I asked 3 different sources near the program over the last 48 hours, 24 hours, sorry. Because enough people were asking the question yesterday that I found it to be worthwhile. And the answer I got was kind of what I expected and sort of what I alluded with Drew a couple weeks ago when we were talking about chapel. No-ish. No-ish. No, it's not mandatory. And they wouldn't say it's mandatory or you're off the team or something along those lines because they can't, because they know that's when it would be a violation of the Establishment Clause. But a program was built with players that they expect would be at chapel.
Buzz finds these guys specifically because.
Well, and this is.
Yeah.
And again, that sounds like I'm saying he would never put somebody on the team that isn't very religious. I can't say that. I don't know enough to know that. Because that, if you say it that way, that would also be like a violation of the Establishment Clause. The way that it was said to me was, the guys that are on the team want to be at chapel. It doesn't have to be at mandatory. I had another source who explained it to me this way. You don't have to call it mandatory because everyone knows that if they didn't go, they'd be viewed as an outsider. And that's a complicated way of describing it because, again, you'll hear, whoever hears that will hear what they want to hear. If you don't like Buzz Williams and you think that, like, there's got to be a way to get out, you'd say, well, this is ridiculous. This is not what we should care about at the University of Maryland. If you're a very religious person, you would say, you like this. I think it's complicated. I would tell you, I don't like it. I don't think religion should have anything to do with the University of Maryland basketball program. At all. I don't think it should have anything to do with the Towson basketball program, the UMBC basketball program, the Morgan State basketball program, the Coppin State basketball program. Who else is UMES? It's a state school. I don't think they should have anything to do with that. I believe there should be a separation between church and state. Now, if you want to make religious services available, and you should, that's all good. But I don't believe there should be any tie between the foundation of a program and religion. That's my personal belief. I don't know how big of a deal it is that Maryland basketball players, I don't think it has anything to do with what happened against Rutgers yesterday. I don't think Maryland basketball is any good. And I know there was one particular Maryland fanatic who was trying to, like, rile people up about the fact that Iowa was ranked number 25 in the coaches poll last week, and so Maryland got a ranked win. I mean, is that how bad things are? My God, is that how bad things are?
Hey.
That to try to make yourself feel better, you're
Ranked wins are good.
It wasn't a ranked win. It was another poll that no one
Yeah,
cares
but if
about.
it was a ranked win,
Yeah, we could do this forever. We could.
you could call it
You and I
Cat
could put
Cat.
together a ranking list. We all know what the poll is that matters.
They were a top 18 Big Ten team, so they beat.
That's a great point. You're right about that. Technically, so was Penn State.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. But no, the problem to me is the team. I don't think any of this is the reason why they lost to Rutgers yesterday. I think they lost to Rutgers yesterday because they're not good. But I do think it all plays into how much of a square peg round hole situation this is. It's all very odd. All of it. It's so nonsensical. And my opinion might be shared by everybody. I think there are people that are on board with we should have more chapel services. Maybe we should do that more than we do rebounding. I would say we should do more rebounding and less chapel. That's my opinion.
I'd say maybe more shooting, but
Yeah, I mean, whatever, right? But again, that's not me saying there should be. If you want to go to chapel, that should be an option. I just don't think it should be at the center. Like, Loyola is a Jesuit school. You go to Loyola, you know you're going to a Jesuit school. As Drew brought up, Calvert Hall is a Catholic school. When you go to Calvert Hall, you know what you're signing up for. The University of Maryland is not those things. And I think that's important. Not because I'm anti-religion, because religion exists where religion does, and anything that's governed by the state should not be involving religion. We know that. I know we've gotten confused about it, and I know that people that share a certain opinion believe that that's more important than law. I do understand that. But we have laws. And I don't think any of this violates that. I want to make that abundantly clear. I think they're very careful to make sure it does not. But I do not share the opinion that chapel is important for the program. For it to be available, for it to be an option, all good. Hey, if that's a priority for you, a lot of people, it is a priority. On a Sunday morning, I want to know that I'm going to be able to go express. And by the way, is that chapel service for just one faith, or is it for multiple faiths? If anybody around the program is Jewish, like, are they served? Is that not an option? Those are things that do matter, and I would like to know the answers to them. I don't think it's the reason they lost at Rutgers. I think that's more about the fact that it's not a good basketball team. But it all speaks to the just bizarre nature of the culture of Maryland basketball, which is just never, in my lifetime, I've never been more confused about. I don't know what it is. It's also funny, the rare times that he does sort of do interviews and talk about how he, the expectations. I don't know what the expectations are. I don't know what they should be.
for the team or for the players or
For the program, for anybody. I have no idea. It's one thing to say this isn't good. This isn't good enough at Rutgers. This isn't good enough at Penn State. I mean, this is an abomination this year. We all know that. But what is good enough? Everybody clowned Jeff Goodman for that tweet last week where he said, Buzz was diabolical enough to get to the NIT next year so it could be celebrated. But, what is the expectation? Is there some world where they win 19 games next year and Buzz Williams is like, look at the trajectory we're on. Look at the... And, you feel like you're being gaslit a little bit? What is the What is good enough?
getting fans? Yeah, right. Is it you want fans in the stands? Is it?
I mean, I don't have the answers. So I keep saying, I don't think the program is what... When people start talking about, this is Maryland basketball, I always say, what is Maryland basketball? Because I don't really know why Maryland basketball should be considered better than Rutgers. Legitimately, I don't know. What's the measurement? What's the stand? That they used to be? Lots of people used to be good at something. that they have the right to be. I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. Come back in. We'll talk about the Orioles. We'll talk about Chris Bassitt. Our buddy Zach Moore saw the bat around, was back to Sunday nights this week, and Zach is now a part of it once again. So we'll talk to him about where the Orioles are. Don't forget, countysports.zone is the website for you to find everything you need to know about high school sports as we move towards playoff season in high school basketball. Go find it, countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, CostasInn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Get in the game with Volo Sports. With over 15 sports to choose from, join a league or grab a Volo membership for discounted play, free daily pickups, fitness classes, and exclusive events. But the best part? A portion of every league fee helps the Volo Kids Foundation provide free sports to over 5,000 kids across Baltimore City each year. Don't miss out. Early pricing for the winter season ends December 12th. Final registration deadline is January 15th. Sign up now at volosports.com/Baltimore.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now, and it's our annual Best of issue, celebrating the top people, performances, and moments of 2025 in local sports. On the cover, we recognize 4 of the most significant athletes of the year: Orioles pitcher Trevor Rogers, Navy quarterback Blake Horvath, Maryland basketball star Derek Queen, and our 2025 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton. Pressbox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
At Live, we want to say thanks to our community with our biggest giveaway yet. Thanks a Million free slot play giveaway. Join us every Friday in February for your chance to win a share of $1 million in free play, including a grand prize of $75,000 in free play. You could be one of 25 winners each week. So what are you waiting for? Thanks a Million only at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. Yeah, the Bat Around is now back on Sunday nights at 8:30, and it was good to see our next guest as part of that. Of course, former Orioles minor leaguer, longtime friend of ours. You follow him at Pigtown Sports. He's our buddy Zach Moore, and he's with us this morning here on GCR. What's going on, pal? How are you?
Doing good, man. How you guys doing?
Everything is all right. I want to read this because I want to talk to you about a few things that came up over the weekend, but there's one particular, quote. Did you read the Ken Rosenthal piece this weekend about where the Orioles and the Diamondbacks go from here?
I did not.
Okay, fair enough. All good. So, of course, the Orioles bring in Chris Bassitt. The Diamondbacks bring back Zach Gallen. They're the teams that made moves for pitchers. So Ken Rosenthal at The Athletic writes a piece about what's next for those two teams. And he throws in this quote from a rival executive. He obviously doesn't name who it is, about the Orioles. And it's just, I don't know, it's chef's kiss to me about baseball, about what the Orioles have done. I'll just read this. This is a 3-paragraph. While the Orioles' $213.5 million investment in free agents this offseason is the 5th highest in the majors, their projected opening day payroll is only about $20 million above where it was last offseason. They were involved with the top free agent starters, Cease, Suarez, Framber Valdez, but ultimately landed Zach Eflin and Chris Bassitt in free agency and Shane Baz in a trade. The 3 additions will earn a combined $32 million in 2026, less than Valdez's average annual value, even when accounting for the deferrals in his deal. The Orioles also signed free agent reliever Ryan Helsley and center fielder Leody Taveras and traded for outfielder Taylor Ward. I don't know who's editing things over at The Athletic. Infielder Blaze Alexander and reliever Andrew Kittredge. One rival executive was impressed by their haul, even if it did not include a top-of-the-rotation type to complement Trevor Rogers and Kyle Bradish. Quote, they have a really good lineup, good thump, some high upside bets in the rotation, a good history of building bullpens, and they didn't mortgage the future to compete in 26, the executive said. I think they will be in the wild card hunt, unquote, which is, it's just perfect for me about talking about this Orioles offseason, because I can find all of the positives and all of the, hey, here's why this makes sense. But what I can't find is a team that appears to be serious about competing to win a World Series, because I can't look at this roster and think it's reasonable to assume that.
I think that's fair. And when we look around the league lately, a lot of these teams that win don't usually have the best roster. Outside of the Dodgers. Like, did Toronto have the best roster in the AL last year? I don't think so. They got better as the year went on. They had a good roster. I think our roster is pretty good, but my biggest question was they went after Ranger Suarez. They wanted Ranger Suarez. That was their guy. That was the offer that he took. He took it to Boston. They matched it. They put all their eggs in that basket, kind of like they did with Corbin Burns. The whole Framber thing, like I've said it multiple times myself, you just gave this guy $38 million and he's not the best pitcher on your team. Would he have been the best pitcher here? No. Would he have been your second best pitcher here?
Okay,
no.
Wait. When you say that, I'm going to push back on that. On day one, he's absolutely the best pitcher on this team. I get what you're saying, that the talent of Kyle Bradish is more than that. But to suggest that Framber Valdez right now isn't a better bet than someone who's pitched 70 innings over the last 2 seasons is there's things that we can say and that we want to be true, but I cannot let that just slide and say definitively on day one. I hope Kyle Bradish is definitely going to be that guy for a full season, but I can't make that assumption or to guarantee it on day one. I can't do that.
Is he better than Trevor Rogers?
Well, the guy that we saw for 14 starts last year, no. But
right, exactly.
On the whole, has he been better than Trevor Rogers? Vastly.
On the whole, yeah.
Vastly better.
The thing with Framber is, he got absolutely demolished in the second half last year. And the fastball velocity was going down. The weight's going up. There's concerns about, how he can keep himself in shape. We all saw the video the other day come out. He looked like he put on another 15 pounds. So would he have helped this rotation? Yes, I'm not going to discredit that whatsoever. I would just discredit that you had to pay him $38 million to potentially be your number 3. Potentially. We can agree potentially. But is he better than Baz? Yeah. Is he better than Eflin? Yeah. All that stuff, yes. I just think, Detroit was in a position where they have nothing behind Skubal whatsoever. They lost Jobe. They lost Olsen. They had Jack Flaherty as their number 2. And I don't think they were comfortable with that. And then knowing that Flaherty potentially is their number 1 next year, like they had to go all out to sign Framber. And it worked out for him. Hopefully it works out for them. I just think the Orioles put a big emphasis on clubhouse and leadership and, everybody kind of getting along. And I just don't think he fit their mold.
Okay, I think the problem isn't really for me about Framber Valdez, Zach. Like for what it's worth, we could do this with every pitcher. We can come up with a reason to not sign anyone, right? But the answer had to be doing something. It had to be that you did something. And if that required, like, if to your point, then the obsession was Ranger Suarez. Like, I was a Michael King guy. That was what I thought the best play was for the offseason. If the obsession was Ranger Suarez, then it's we pay a tax. Like, and this is the part that I keep coming back to. You can say, hey, look, they did all this without mortgaging their future. That's great, but what do they have to show for it? Maybe you're right. Maybe everything works out, and they can make some sort of Blue Jays run. But it just doesn't feel like there's a seriousness to let's do everything in our power to make sure we're in position to do that.
Agree with that. I mean, when you kind of look back at Mike's resume, he's brought in some quality arms here, and people may or may not agree with that, but they've all been via the trade. Excuse me. Kyle Bradish acquired by trade. Trevor Rogers acquired by trade. Shane Baz acquired by trade. Zach Eflin acquired by trade. So, I mean, that's been his kind of MO. Is he still – I don't want to say that I'm, like, giving him a free pass, but, you know, under Angelos, did he have the ability to go and spend with the big guys and try to land some of these big arms?
I agree on that.
So he's kind of novice at it. And it probably showed this year that he got played. He got played by Kyle Schwarber, and he'll probably admit that. And he got played by Ranger Suarez. So this is really only his first or second year really trying to navigate the waters of being able to just spend freely. And he got played. And I think he probably learned from that. But if his MO is trades, then maybe he's got something up his sleeve for us.
Zach, I look at the rotation. I think there is a benefit to Bassitt. I think that it matters that he's had success in the AL East. I think all of those things are good things. I still have a lot of questions about will everything work out. And as much as we talk about Shane Baz's upside, like what do we see all – I think one of these guys is going to prove to be a really good pitcher this year. Like, that's my gut. I don't know that three of them are. I think there's something there. I think it's good to have depth. I'm on board with it. But I still have questions about the whole of the rotation throughout the course of the season.
I think that's fair. I mean, every team in baseball technically should have questions about the rotation because you never really know what you're going to get. But, I mean, with Bassitt, he just kind of elevates that floor a little bit. You don't really have to – I mean, Zach Eflin's already thrown 2 bullpens. You know, he's scheduled to probably throw off the mound against live hitters probably this week. So he's on track, and you don't need to rush him, which is probably good for him, probably good for the Orioles. You don't need to have Kyle Bradish pitch every 5th day right now early on, especially with 5 off days in April. So that having Bassitt kind of just gives you just another quality arm. I probably lump Bassitt and Eflin and Kramer all in the kind of that same group where you're just going to get a steady Eddie out of all of them, 5-6 innings. They might give up 2-3 runs. Occasionally they'll go into the 7th for you, but they'll turn the ball over to the bullpen, hopefully with a lead. And that's going to fall on your offense. But having 3 guys like that is better than 1 at the end of your rotation. I mean, last year we were expecting kind of Kramer to do that at the 3 role. So to bounce him back just a little bit and then bring in Bassitt and then, you know, you don't have to maybe pitch Baz in the 3 spot. Maybe you could put Bassitt there and give him just a little bit more comfortable in a better matchup against other teams' number 4s or something. So it just kind of gives you a lot of wiggle room early on to kind of see where guys are at and how they're going to start their season and whatnot. And it gives Drew French time to work on guys with certain things. And I think it just helps overall. It's not a needle mover by any means, but it's definitely quality depth.
Well, I think the other thing that it does is we're chatting with Zach Moore here on GCR. I think that it absolutely should slam the door shut on Tyler Wells as a starter, and that addresses one of the bigger issues that this team sort of still had was guys the back end of the bullpen that you could I have serious trust in Tyler Wells as a leverage arm in the back end of the bullpen, right? Like, I have significant trust and really as a backup plan if Ryan Helsley ends up looking like the guy that was in New York a year ago. Like, I love Tyler Wells as a back-end option in the bullpen.
Yeah, he's got that mentality that you kind of trust coming out in the 8th and 9th inning where he just thinks he's better than you. And you want that at a guy on the mound. But what I really like about him, he does have a little bit of issues giving up the long ball because he pitches up in the zone, but he's not afraid of you. And he'll go right after you with a fastball, with a slider. He doesn't care, which is great. I'd still like to add one more, Michael Kopech. I mean, I would love to have Wells, Kopech, Helsley. You get 3 guys that are throwing pretty hard, And then, you can kind of spot around with other guys in the pen, Cano, Kittredge, whoever ends up making the team. I really don't know at this point. Heinz Kraus could make it out of spring training if he can stay healthy. He's a guy that has had a lot of success in this league. He actually has an MLB option left. So if they need to send him down and bring guys up and down, if they want to run the 6-man, they can do that. There's some interesting arms in this bullpen. It just, you got to play the what-if game with them.
He is Zach Moore. He's with us here on GCR. Zach, I'll add to it because somebody would say, hey, what do you do now that you have 6 starters? I think you alluded to this earlier, which is this is a good problem to have. Zach Eflin might not be ready for opening day. He might be, but he might not be. You absolutely, as we alluded to with Bradish, cannot be trying to go from 30 to 200 innings this year. Like, that math is not going to work. At some point, you're going to skip somebody's start. They're going to be out of the bullpen. I don't – and guys are going to get hurt. Like, that's just the reality of baseball. I think that we're creating a problem that doesn't actually exist. Like, you're supposed to have 6 or 7 starters and sort of go from there.
Yeah, you don't have to push Zach Eflin to be ready to throw 75, 80 pitches, 90 pitches right away. You can build him up slowly. If he's throwing now, that's great in my opinion. So if he's ready to throw 25 pitches for an inning or 30 for an inning, hopefully it's not 30, but 20, 25, and then build that back up to, maybe now he takes 2 innings on roll. He throws 40 pitches and then 30, 3 innings and then 4 innings. And then you have time to kind of build his back up. No pun intended there. But I just think it's just better for everybody. You don't have to worry early on in the season about Bradish, racking up too many innings in the first half. You can kind of take your time. If they don't put Tyler Wells in the back end and you have 7 starters, like, I don't think they'll do that, but you have guys that can make rotational starts here and there in April. And just, I think a win for Kyle Bradish should be exactly what Shane Boss just did last year, 166 innings. Come back out, give us a good year, like a 3 to 3.5 ERA, which I think he's more than capable of. I think you get Trevor Rogers to about 160 innings. That should be fine too. Both those guys should be healthy by October if you don't blow them out early. And then if you got to put 100 innings on Zach Eflin, 160 out of Bassitt, and then Boz gets back to another 160, I think you're in a really good spot, especially because then you didn't blow your bullpen out by August either. And then you've got some guys that you can kind of move up and down. I think we probably see Trey Gibson at one point this year. You'll probably see Luis De Leon at some point this year, maybe even Levi Wells. So I think they have a good rotation in the bullpen where you're going to see some guys kind of mix in and out between May and June to kind of keep guys fresh. And it's only going to help them down the road.
Zach, the other part of the Rosenthal column this week that got a lot of attention was the part where he said that they are still they're still considering trades for Kobe Mayo and Ryan Mountcastle, which shouldn't to me come off as news. Like, that should have been something that should have been happening. As I said all along, like, I just don't know that there's anything to get for Ryan Mountcastle. I think if there was something to get for Ryan Mountcastle, that would have happened. I know that you're holding out and hoping that somebody has an injury and then maybe they want to make a move, but it's just hard for Ryan Mountcastle to have much of any value. I think you'd just be giving him away for the sake of giving him away at some point.
Ryan Mountcastle's still a good ball player, and I think the lack of power has a lot of people kind of down on him. But, last year was probably his worst year, but he didn't play a whole lot. Once Kobe came up, he got a lot of the reps and whatnot. But, you're talking about a guy who's hit 270 plus, since he's had that vertigo issue. Yes, the power's gone. He's only hit 25 home runs, and I think it's like 250-some games. But, he's a guy that was, up until last year, very good with runners in scoring position, very good hitting the ball the other way. Them giving him that second-year option, I think, makes his tradability way better than it was prior. You weren't getting absolutely anything for him if he was just going to be a rental. But him being 27, 28 years old, right around the same age that Ryan O'Hearn kind of refound his career, somebody might take a shot on him for even if it's of a lower end bullpen arm in the minors or something like that. Somebody's going to take a shot.
Yeah, it's some sort of flyer. I'm not saying you don't do it, but that's sort of what I think. To your point, like, I think most organizations just believe they have their Ryan Mountcastle, right?
Yes.
Like, we have this guy at home. We don't need yours. We have somebody who's exactly like him. These guys aren't hard to find. I don't know what Kobe Mayo's value is. My gut tells me that if Kobe Mayo was going to be able to get you or even be the prize piece in getting you a legitimate starting pitcher, that would have happened. I know there's talk now about, Kobe Mayo playing some third base with Jackson Holiday sidelined. That seems like we know what the story is there. Like, we know how that plays out. I don't know about it, but I also understand you've got to find at bats for him somehow. I'm in a weird place with what the story really is for Kobe Mayo right now.
I think he's a great ball player. I think he's probably going to have success in this league somewhere. I don't know if it's here because, like you just said, he's pretty much blocked at every position. The part that I've kind of been thinking of over the entire offseason is just like you just said with Mountcastle, teams don't need a Kobe Mayo.
Right.
Because they already have that DH or first base position kind of filled for a guy that can hit inside their organization that might just not be the best fielder in the world. Why would they bring another one in? So, yes, he has 40 home run power, and I think teams recognize that, but it's got to come down to, like, realistic expectations. Can you land a frontline starter or frontline pitching prospect for Kobe Mayo at this point? I don't think so. And that's just because they already have their Kobe Mayo or somebody they're going to move there. So it's going to work out eventually. I don't think he'll be the headliner. I think he'll be a second part to a trade. I think one of our top 10 prospects will probably be a headliner if we're going to bring back another pitching prospect or something. But that raises another question is, do they need somebody that helped the team now for Kobe Mayo, or do you need somebody that maybe helps them next year when 3 or 4 of these starters are not on the roster? So that's probably what they're navigating through right now.
Are you comfortable with Colton Cowser, everyday center fielder?
100%. 100%. I think Cowser, I just tweeted it this morning, he had the second highest WAR on the team in 2024. He played last year. He broke the thumb at the end of the Kansas City series in the playoffs. Pretty much didn't have an entire offseason. Comes out, breaks his thumb again, or hand or whatever, sliding into first base. So, I mean, that puts a detriment on your season. We'll see that with Holiday this year. Then he comes and breaks his ribs on June 12th. Plays through it, didn't need to whatsoever. I mean, the Orioles weren't playing for anything. Then he gets a concussion in August against the Phillies, and he still put up a positive WAR of 0.6 last year. I mean, and a lot of people say, like, he couldn't hit off-speed pitch. Look, I agree, but it hurts to poop with broken ribs, and this guy was trying to swing at 99-mile-an-hour fastballs. Like, sometimes you just got to pick a pitch and guess. So, I'm high on him. I think he has another bounce-back season. I put it out today. I'll go on record saying I think he'll finish top 4 on the team in WAR again this year if he stays healthy. I think his center field is fine. He's got 275 career games in center field, so it's not like he's trying to learn the position. I think he's an outstanding ball player. I don't think we'll have any concerns about him this year.
I don't know, man. I know what you're saying about 2024, but so much of that was 6 incredible weeks, right? Like, he's a guy to me that's had 6 unbelievable weeks, and I've got the better part of 2 years of not knowing if he's a major league caliber player. I say that. He's definitely a major league caliber defender. And as a corner outfielder, he's a high-end defensive outfielder. I think as a center fielder, he's good enough, right?
Yeah.
I am really not sure. Like, to say, I get what you're saying, but what in 2024, he had a 321 on base percentage, like, on the whole. And that's with that outstanding 6 weeks, that otherworldly 6 weeks. I hope you're right.
Coaches got fired for a reason.
That's true. I hope you're right, man. I hope that's the case. I really like Colton Cowser. I want him to succeed, but boy, it is tough for me to judge him or to have that faith going in.
It's hard to judge anybody because there's been a turnover in coaching for a reason, and there's been a turnover in the philosophy for a reason. It didn't work. So I mean, is it a make or break year for Colton Cowser? Maybe, but I mean, the thing that I like that we have on our side this year is Donnie Ecker is a wizard with, breaking things down on film. I mean, when was the last time, if ever, that you heard the Orioles actually videoing as much as they talk about the hitters? Like, they've always been kind of videoing the pitchers and breaking that down, but Donnie's doing the hitting now and getting all that stuff broken down and seeing the minute things that we'd never really heard about as fans before. And they were doing it, sure. But I think Donnie's a wizard with it. I mean, there's a reason why the Celtics are also using him because he's so good at it. So I think Donnie alone is going to help a lot of players. Dustin Lin, I mean, got to learn from one of the best hitting coaches in the league in Philadelphia. So I'm confident in these guys, but a lot of it, falls on their shoulders to get these young kids right.
Zach, remind everybody where they're finding you.
Big Town Sports, pretty much every social media platform you can think of, I'm there.
There you go. And, of course, the Bat Around as well on Sunday nights. Check him out with our buddy Paul Valley. Zach, always appreciate you, brother. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
All right, see you guys.
Zach Moore with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time. I don't want to be too negative as I have this conversation, because I do think that, like, what I said about this quote from this rival executive, it really is perfect. It's perfect. One rival executive was impressed by their haul, even if it did not include a top-of-the-rotation type to complement Trevor Rogers and Kyle Bradish. Quote, they have a really good lineup, good thump, some high-upside bets in the rotation, a good history of building bullpens, and they didn't mortgage the future to compete in 26. It sounds like, wow, that's impressive. And then the follow-up statement. I think they will be in the wild card hunt.
Because his team's going to be
it's the perfect
division?
no, it's the perfect comparison of these two things. Like, you can absolutely say, boy, I think they made some deft moves. Like, I think Shane Baz could be
so everybody else is like, oh, that's cute what the Orioles did.
It's like it really is, and I said this before. It's like you won on the Pythagorean model. Like, you won in the did you get more value for the money that you spent and the players that you went after, like, bang for the buck, might you have been a winner in that? Quite possibly. I don't know, but it's quite possible. Is that going to translate to you taking a step towards winning a World Series? I can't say no. I believe it or not, can't see the future. Does it feel good? It doesn't. You're asking for a lot of things to go right, and maybe they will. I keep coming back, maybe they will. But you didn't stack the deck for it. You kind of went in between. You got one of the things you wanted in a legitimate impact bat. You needed something else. You're now going to be counting on a lot of things going right to make up for it. Is it possible that Kyle Bradish pitches the entire season as the version of Kyle Bradish that we've come to know? It's possible. Is it possible that Trevor Rogers can back up what he did a year ago, or at least something similar? Yeah, all of these things are possible. Absolutely. But there's a lot of hope involved. And that's why the answer is, I think they will be in the wild card hunt. Which, in comparison to last year, seems like a good thing. But last year shouldn't have reset the expectations. Last year should be hell-bent. We're talking about an organization that won 100 games and has gone backwards every year from there. Didn't build on it, didn't capitalize on, has gone backwards. So that now, it's sort of like the thing with Buzz Williams. Like, are we going to celebrate the NIT? If you're telling me they're a wild card contending team, well, in comparison to what happened last year, that sounds great. But where this organization should be, with this nucleus of players that we talked about for some time, it's nowhere close.
Is it? Can we just bank on, just based on in recent years, the volatility of the MLB playoffs have been, as long as you're in, it feels like just about anything can happen.
To some extent, except, right, like, we can say, hey, were the Blue Jays the best team? No, the Blue Jays definitely weren't the best team. They had a couple of things really going for them. There's a reason why they spent $500 million on Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? And they also had, and to say, well, the Orioles could have something similar. Maybe not quite Vlad Jr., but they could have something similar in Pete Alonso, right? Like, a much lesser price. Yeah, they could have 80 to 85%. And then if you combine that with Gunnar Henders, like, you could do all of that. They also had a phenomenon, pitching-wise, in Trey Savage that kind of carried them. The Rangers are the worst team to look at because the Rangers are the team that badly failed during the regular season and then during the postseason became the team that they were built to be. They stacked the deck, the Rangers. They went all in. They spent gobs of money. They weren't a cute Cinderella or underdog story. They were a team that stacked the deck and then weirdly didn't live up to it during the course of the regular season, only to get to the postseason and then say, oh, right, we're the team that went and got Seager and Simeon and these pitchers. We're going to be good. Is there volatility or the Blue Jays are the best example. And I don't think this Orioles team on paper is as good as that Blue Jays team was. You could make comparisons, and you could say it's closer than you realize it is. I mean, pitching-wise, it probably is. It probably is close. And if everything goes right, if Adley Rutschman becomes a thing again, if Gunnar Henderson is his best version, we can do this. And you can make an argument that you could be last year's Blue Jays. But that's one example. The other teams that have been there have not really been cute underdog or teams that took advantage of just get in and you can win.
And I guess what makes it difficult to look at it that way is obviously the Dodgers have won the last 2 years, so
I mean, that's part of the. I mean, somebody would say that's why none of this matters, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you do; you're just going to lose the Dodgers anyway. And to an extent, that's unfortunately there's truth to that. Like there's kind of no way around it. That there's truth to that. But I don't know. I don't think that I buy just the build a team that's good enough
that's better than last year.
To get in, and that's enough to win a World Series. Like I think that's what we say because we want it to be true. I don't know that it's actually true. And I'll listen to the idea that. And by the way, that's a Blue Jays team with Vlad Guerrero and George Springer, and like it's not.
George Springer had the best year of his career. Well, one of, yeah.
Yeah. Like, and we're calling them. They're the cute underdog. The cute underdog is the Vlad Guerrero, George Springer. Again, the pitching is the best way. I mean, they also went and got Anthony Santander. It just didn't work out. They were aggressive. They were very aggressive. And we're calling them the cute underdog. The Orioles were mildly aggressive. The Mayo.
What about the Mariners season? Like that's
their pitching was otherworldly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you
they were underdog-ish. I mean, I guess obviously anyone's gonna be the underdog against the Dodgers, but they looked to be the best team in the AL, at least when the playoffs, played out.
Yeah. Again, if you can get that level of pitching from...
And then one guy that hit 60 home runs.
Right. And, let's not pretend like they hadn't gone out and gotten a Rosarena.
Right.
Like
Naylor,
they had been aggressive, too, and still came up short. But it required having an ungodly amount of pitching. I mean, they had an absurd amount of pitching. And again, this is what we're coming back to. I think people are going to hear me and say, you're suggesting it's a failure. I'm being very careful in what I'm saying.
What's a failure? Like
the offseason? I think by their standards it is because they told you they needed a front-of-the-rotation pitcher and they didn't get it. So by the Orioles standards, they failed. By what the team is, I think the team is good enough to compete to be a playoff team. And again...
And better than last year, like on paper.
On paper, better than last year. I don't know if they're... You're throwing things around. Are they 100% better? On paper, they're better.
I mean, like that team was... in our heads we were fantasizing what Charlie Morton and Tomo Sagano could have been.
I definitely think the back end of their rotation is better than the back end of last year's rotation.
Especially you knew you didn't have Kyle Bradish. You knew you didn't have Tyler Wells.
But you thought Grayson Rodriguez was going to be a major league pitcher. Like you did. I mean, that was part of the math. And I'm not saying that they were smart in doing that math, but we also believed that Grayson Rodriguez was still capable. The Orioles might have their ace. And that's part of the issue that I have. Like, Grayson Rodriguez now scares me of, they've got their ace. It's Kyle Bradish. Right, Kyle Bradish has pitched 70 innings in 2 years. And I get it. He's been unbelievably good when he's pitched. But we went to, it's always something with Grayson Rodriguez, and we're not saying that about Kyle Bradish. I guess because he pitched at the end of the year, so, like, he's not currently hurt, so we're not talking about it.
Pitched a full season in 24, like...
What, Kyle Bradish?
Or Or
23.
Yeah, sorry, 23.
That was 3 years ago. Like, it's always something, and that's the problem. Like, I hope that Kyle Bradish is ready to do that. And if he does, I reserve the right to have an opinion evolve as the year goes on. Part of the reason I feel this way is because I am concerned about Kyle Bradish's ability to be a full-season workhorse ace, and I think I have every right to be concerned about that. I think it'd be reckless to not be concerned about that. But when you hear me say that, because we all believe that we're just supposed to predict the future, go on the record. Tell me what's going to happen. I have no clue. But my concern about that is real. If you fast forward to September and Kyle Bradish pitched the entire season and still has innings left in him and pitched like an ace, then my guess is the Orioles are going to be better than that. But it's a reasonable concern to have. It's reasonable to be concerned about whether or not Trevor Rogers can do that for a full season. It would be reckless to not think that way. It's why, and I know what Zach was trying to say. Well, Framber Valdez is your number 3. No. No. On day one, Framber Valdez is your best pitcher, period.
Is he's starting opening day then?
If you got Framber Valdez, you're damn right he's starting on opening day. I mean, you're spending how much money on a pitcher?
115, 120,
Yeah. He's starting opening day. And I get it. You want it to be Bradish because he's the homegrown guy, but if you're investing that, Framber Valdez is your guy. Obviously, he won't be in Detroit because that's unique. They have that guy. I love what Kyle Bradish is capable of. I need to see it. So when I have these conversations, it's based on the evidence that we have right now. The evidence that we have right now says to me the likelihood of all these 3 guys we talk about, Bradish, Rogers, Boz, being high-end, full-season Major League starters is minimal. I bet at least one of them is. And obviously, if I had to bet, that would be Bradish, right? As he stays healthy. I think they're probably guys. If I had to bet, Bradish, if he's healthy, is legitimately can be A1.
I think I get your point. Is that the range of outcomes is very, very vast.
Yes.
With this,
and that's combined with the number of guys in the lineup that we feel that way about. I'm not. Gunnar Henderson has to be better than he was last year, but I'm willing to give you that. Like in predicting the Orioles, I'm predicting that Gunnar Henderson, because I think the evidence suggests Gunnar Henderson is better than he was last year. But weren't we saying something similar about Adley Rutschman not that long ago?
We were.
Like, I'm predicting that Gunnar Henderson is more like an MVP than I think they have 2 knowns in Pete Alonso and Gunnar Henderson. I'm pretty sure of exactly what I'm getting from those 2 guys.
Dylan Beavers as well, yeah.
I would love for Dylan Beavers.
He's Juan Soto. That's just
it would be awesome.
What all the stats.
If that becomes the case, then this is a dumb conversation. The Orioles are going to win the World Series. But I think they have 2 to me knowns, and then I think they have a lot of unknowns. And those unknowns are like when Jordan Westburg's healthy, I think I know what Jordan Westburg is. How many games is he going to be healthy for?
Hopefully in the triple digits.
I absolutely think that Jackson Holliday, when he gets healthy, can take a step forward. But we're starting to have more. It was one thing that you were doing this from when he first came up to the end of the season and then to the next. Like at some point, you actually have to do that before we can assume it. I have Tyler O'Neill. I can't even talk about Tyler O'Neill.
His biceps are still big.
Yeah, it's true. But it's funny. Like I would rather talk about Dylan Beavers than talk about Tyler O'Neill. Like it's almost like Tyler O'Neill is a problem. Like his existence is an issue.
I don't know.
You just want to say, like, let Dylan Beavers play, man. Figure out if there's an upside there. Do not give unnecessary at-bats to Tyler O'Neill. But I understand you can't do that because if he's healthy, he's going to run into some balls. Like, let him play on opening day and then, see again in a couple weeks. I don't know. This is the problem. And when people, you hear what you want to hear. Some people hear me saying, like, you think the team stinks. No. I think there's an awful lot of volatility here.
You are coming close to having your parade invitation.
Right. I don't that guy on Twitter. I don't think I ever made the list though. I don't think I was ever invited. I don't think so.
No, I think it's implied everyone's invited. I think.
Is that the implication?
Yeah.
You have to be uninvited.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's so much freaking volatility with this team that if you assume that, then you have to assume a reasonable amount of it goes right and a reasonable amount of it goes wrong, right? Like if it's 50-50, if all of these things, right, if I say there's a bunch of volatility with Kyle Bradish, Trevor Rogers, Shane Baz.
Eflin, I mean.
I'm not even putting those guys. Like, I'm almost not counting on. Like, if you want to throw Eflin in specifically because if you get the 2024 version of Eflin, then you've got something there, fine. I'll put Eflin on that list. Bassitt and Kramer I'm not putting on the list, right? Somebody would say there's an awful lot of volatility for Helsley. I think we're talking about Helsley like a known when, like, we're pleasantly ignoring what happened in New York last year, which we all know happened.
There's still a large part of his
so
career
I'm
where he's
inclined to
very
leave him
effective.
off the volatility, but, like, it's almost like it's like 4.5 if I include Helsley on the list.
Yeah, but he's not. We feel much better. He's going to be about him being Ryan Helsley than being Craig Kimbrell.
Yes, I agree with that. That's why it's maybe 4.25 or something like that. I think we're being too dismissive of that when it comes to Helsley, but I think we have reason for it. Cowser, a massive amount of volatility. Jackson Holiday, Adley Rutschman, for Christ's sakes. Jordan Westberg because of health. Let's just take those 8 that are significant volatility for those 8 guys. And say 4 of them work out and 4 of them don't, which is, when there's that much volatility, the reasonable way. If you did the math, you'd say you'd project half of that to work. And if that's the case, then I think that's right. I think you're a fringe wild card team if 4 of those guys work out and 4 of those guys don't. Of course, we all know with probability, 7 of them could work out. Or somebody that, Ryan Helsley could be hurt. It all works out to me that they're about a fringe wild card team. And if in this scenario more goes right than wrong, then there's an upside there. I would have liked for the deck to have been stacked a bit more in this moment. And as I've said before, maybe the reality, I'm not writing right now, but if I were to, maybe the reality is we have to move on from the window concept. That the window is about Adley Rutschman. And maybe we need to move into the world where the window is really like a Jackson Holiday, Samuel Basayo window. And that's a tough thing to think about. By the way, Basayo is on that list as well. I guess
Of your volatility.
Yeah, there's a ton of volatility with Samuel Basayo.
Yeah.
I mean, a massive amount.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if
if
he's the guy
you're going up with every single guy. I mean, what if Tyler O'Neill hits 30 home runs?
No. We're not doing it with every guy. Gunnar Henderson, I'm not putting on that list, despite the fact that Samuel Basayo has never done anything at the major league level. Never. So
It's got a couple walk-offs.
I'm not putting Pete Alonso on that list. I'm putting certain guys in as knowns. And yes, as I said, even those guys, or again, I'm not even including Tyler O'Neill in volatility, right? Like, I'm just so dismissive of Tyler O'Neill.
And I agree with that.
But
But then I'm saying
But yes, there's a world where Tyler O'Neill could vastly.
What's Blaze Alexander?
Okay, now we're just being silly for the sake of being.
Well, I mean,
silly.
Holiday misses the first, knock on wood, hopefully 2 weeks. But what if Blaze Alexander has to play more than that and he plays the full first? We get an April Mateo.
There's always
of Blaze Alexander, and then we're like,
who's
whoa.
somebody you have no expectations for at all that ends up being helpful for your team. Like, of course that can happen. But it all factors into doing the math and why it is that. I don't even know. Has Pacoda put out win totals yet?
I know the sports books have. That's what I was about to mention.
Yeah, what is this?
What would you put it at?
I would put it at like 87 or so.
FanDuel has it as 86.5.
Okay, that sounds about right. I mean, they're a fringe wild card team. There's a reason that's the case, and that doesn't mean it can't surpass that. But in measuring all of it, that's what they should be. I hope it's a lot better. All right, we'll grab a break. We haven't even had a huge guest day, and it's already 12. Jesus Christ.
Long weekend.
We'll grab a break. We'll come back in, and I got more that I just want to cover quickly from a couple of notes from the weekend that we'll cover. Today's show brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. Stan and Luke Jackson are to catch up with UMBC baseball coach Liam Bowen a little bit later on today. You can watch that as college baseball season got underway this weekend. That's coming up at 5 o'clock, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. It's brought to you by the Costas Inn with two great locations, Dundalk and Timonium. Stan the Fan, Luke Jackson, and UMBC coach Liam Bowen today at 5 o'clock. Get in the game with Volo Sports. With over 15 sports to choose from, join a league or grab a Volo membership for discounted play, free daily pickups, fitness classes, and exclusive events. But the best part? A portion of every league fee helps the Volo Kids Foundation provide free sports to over 5,000 kids across Baltimore City each year. Don't miss out. Early pricing for the winter season ends December 12th. Final registration deadline is January 15th. Sign up now at volosports.com/Baltimore.
At Live, we want to say thanks to our community with our biggest giveaway yet. Thanks a Million free slot play giveaway. Join us every Friday in February for your chance to win a share of $1 million in free play, including a grand prize of $75,000 in free play. You could be one of 25 winners each week. So what are you waiting for? Thanks a Million, only at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with two great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs in the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, costasin.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Looking for Baltimore's premier waterfront dining experience? Head to Nick's Fish House, located in the Baltimore Peninsula. Enjoy crabs all year long, plus happy hour Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. Planning a celebration? From rehearsal dinners to corporate crab feasts, Nick's is the spot to make it unforgettable. And the fun doesn't stop there. Live music fills the air every Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full lineup at nicksfishhouse.com. Nick's, it's where Baltimore comes to eat, drink, and play by the water.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right. A couple of notes. The Dolphins are apparently just cleaning house. No is my answer. I won't even say it that way. I do not think Tyreek Hill is what the Baltimore Ravens need at this point. And there is an argument that, you can never have enough good football players or whatever, but I don't think Tyreek Hill is the answer for the Ravens. And part of it is if I'm going 30-plus for a wide receiver, I'm looking for a specific type of 30-plus-year-old wide receiver, and Tyreek Hill isn't that guy. Like, the argument is, and somebody's going to hear this, and they're going to think that I'm crazy. I'm not telling you that Zay Flowers is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, if we just sheerly look at, was a one-of-one talent. But the things that Zay Flowers is capable of doing are not dissimilar to what Tyreek Hill does. And the 30-plus-year-old version, how old actually is Tyreek Hill at this point?
Yeah,
I think he's 31, right?
Yeah.
And he might be 32 before the season begins. That version of...
He will be 32 on March 1st.
There you go. That version of Tyreek Hill, like if you could get 25-year-old Tyreek Hill, 26-year-old Tyreek Hill, obviously that guy is dramatically better than Zay Flowers. And somebody would say, well, just put them both on the field and see what happens. It's still going to cost you real money for Tyreek Hill. The problem being, the guy that I'm looking for doesn't typically become available. The Ravens need a prototype. They need a big wide receiver. And post 30, you'd even settle for like a Derek Mason, right? Derek Mason wasn't a prototype. He was just tough as S. And I'm not saying that Tyreek Hill isn't tough, but we haven't seen that. Tyreek Hill's skill is burner, is get him in space. The Ravens need tough catch guy. I don't think Tyreek Hill, and then there's the other stuff, and I know that Tyreek Hill, has not had as many controversies tied to him in recent, but all that stuff, and I know the Ravens clearly don't have a zero tolerance policy anymore. They drafted Mike
maybe
Green.
They do now. Who knows? We got a new
maybe
new regime.
But this is my answer. Tyreek Hill is not with the Ravens. That's just ad guy because we know who he is. Bradley Chubb is at least interesting to me. Now, I don't know what the cost ends up being for Bradley Chubb. I don't know. It might be. I haven't really looked at the free agent edge rush market to try to figure out, because some teams just have money and have to spend it on somebody, and so, this is, if there's somebody out there, they're going to spend it, and they're going to drive up the market because of it. But, boy, does it fit kind of what the Ravens do, and I think they should do something different. And Bradley Chubb will also be 30 before the season begins as I look at this now.
Trey Hendrickson headlines the 31 at 31. This will be
but he's break the bank. I mean, you're talking about somebody's going to give up an ungodly amount of money for Trey Hendrickson. Bradley Chubb does not move ahead of Trey Hendrickson, is my point.
No, yeah. And then you got Khalil Mack, who's going to be 35.
Bradley Chubb would, to me, be ahead of Khalil Mack.
Hassan Reddick, who I guess we don't know anything about him. Who
that's
knows
great.
Joey Bosa from Buffalo.
Dafe Owe.
Danico Autry out of Houston, but he's going to be 36.
Jalen Phillips, obviously. I think Jalen Phillips would be higher on that list.
Draymond Jones.
Bradley Chubb is somewhere like 3rd to 4th on that list, and my gut tells me that prices him out of Baltimore. But I'm interested. It will be very interesting to see if Jesse Minter is inclined to try to get the Ravens to be in the Dafe Owe waters or to be in the Khalil Mack waters, right? That is very interesting to me. Does he want his guys the way that the rumor is that John Harbaugh wants some of the Baltimore guys in New York? And ironically, that's Mike McDonald showed up in Seattle and didn't need his guys. Basically, he took Tyus for a minute.
Yeah.
He took
Is that the only one?
I
Josh
thought
Bynes on the coaching staff.
Bro, I thought there was a defensive back.
Zach Orr goes to Seattle, by the way.
Yes. Zach Orr ends up at the. I thought we.
I thought he was. I was pretty
yeah,
sure.
you did. You did screw that up last week. That was on you.
Apparently, it wasn't official. I guess I don't know. I mean, everyone thought he was going to Dallas. I don't know what happened.
Hang on a second. I swear there was one other one that Mike McDonald in 24.
A player.
Yeah, I could just be confusing it with someone that ended up somewhere else. I thought.
Was it like a special teams guy, or was it like
no? I thought there was a defensive back. I thought there was somebody on the defensive side of the ball that went with Mike to Seattle in 2024. But I've gotten other things wrong. I'm going to get lots of things wrong. Tyus I had correct, and Josh Ross.
Oh yeah,
Josh Ross.
Yeah, sure. So special
went.
teams guy.
Basically, yes. Josh Ross was the other one. But that's the point. The point was like he didn't just say, "Give me my guys." So I don't know what Jesse Minter's thought process is going to be. If he's going to be inclined to say, please go get me my guys. Or if he's going to say, yeah, whoever you got, I'm confident that I can make them better.
Spotrac has Adafe Owe ranked second behind Trey Hendrickson.
So what is their ranking?
They do not have they're not updated with Chubb, so I think Chubb would be probably around Owe and
what is
so Hendrickson they predict $25.5 million. 19 million for Owe, 18 million for Khalil Mack. Quiddy Pay, 17 million.
Is Boye Moff also a?
Yes, it's 12 million. He would be sixth before they added in Chubb.
I could see one of those guys being the type of guy if the Ravens are swimming in those waters.
Boye Moff,
like a Boye Moff type, someone that
Draymond Jones would be right behind.
I know they liked in the draft, so like DaCosta would be, and then I mean I don't know that. I know the Ravens were interested in Boye Moff. And then he's not at the top of the market, so they could but believe that Jesse Minter could get the best out of them, that type of player. Yeah. Owe makes all the sense in the world, but I mean it's awkward, and it's also that's a lot of money that you'd have to be spending on that.
He's going to go to Cincinnati.
Would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? God, that would make so much sense. My answer is no on Tyreek Hill. It's yes with an asterisk on Bradley Chubb. I would be interested in Bradley Chubb, but at a number, and my gut tells me it's not a number the Ravens are going to be spending. Somebody would say
he will be 30. He'll be 30 this summer.
Yeah. Somebody would say if there was ever a time, like if you're going to spend money, just go get Trey Hendrickson, right? Like that would be the argument that would be made. I just don't think the Ravens are going to suddenly be doing that. So kind of wasted breath is all I've got for you. All right, anything else that happened this weekend that I needed to cover? Towson, yuck. Yuck, man.
That was one of the worst endings to a basketball game.
Just yuck.
Remember, they missed 10 free throws. I feel like they missed like 5 of them down the stretch.
Tyler Coleman with 2 at the end.
I mean, he missed 4 in the game. Like he was.
I got a bone to pick with CBS. There is no reason to put somebody's overall record on the scorebug, particularly not from that conference.
When they put like Scary's.
No. On the scorebug at the bottom, where it says the score of the game.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
they have their overall record,
they
like 14 and 12 or whatever, instead of their conference record, which is particularly for those types of conferences the only thing that matters. And you could argue, even for like big conferences, how relevant is your overall record? But I get what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to show somebody who doesn't watch, someone who doesn't watch basketball at all, but happens to come across the game. Are you more inclined to stay because you see something like that? So for big conferences, maybe I can understand it. When you're doing CAA or what other leagues does the CBS have? They
do
Patriot League for sure.
Yeah, they got Navy on Saturday.
Yeah. There is zero reason to put someone's overall record on the screen.
Yeah, but when Navy's got 20 wins,
it is
nice.
I get it, but it is of no help to actually telling a story. Put the conference record on for mid-majors because that's the thing that matters. Their overall record is irrelevant. So
instead, they're just going to add every time there's a dead ball, they just kept showing up the full.
Correct, the standings.
The full CAA standings.
Exactly right. Yeah, that was rough. But yes,
Maryland women won.
The Maryland women had an amazing win.
They had to hang
down,
on, but yeah,
down 19. They come back on the road against Ohio State. And yes, to Griffin's point, they took like an 8-point lead, and then they stopped scoring. They did like a weird bit where they were like, we got enough.
They did what Towson couldn't do, and they held on.
Yes, turns out they were right. They win by 1, a wild win against a really good Ohio State team.
Yeah.
So
they're just going to win ranked games on the road, I guess.
That's what it's going to be. And then what else happened? UMBC got another win this weekend.
Nice.
Morgan got another win this weekend. They keep rolling. Navy got another win. Loyola had a tough win this weekend. Unfortunately, Loyola Lacrosse, well, I guess if you're a Hopkins fan, it was very fortunate that Hopkins scored the first 5 of the game. And then Loyola got back within 2 at one point, and then Hopkins ended up rolling. Towson beat Navy. I mentioned Maryland falls a little bit short against Syracuse. That's the main takeaways from the lacrosse weekend. I think we've covered everything. I think that's good. Congratulations to for winning the Daytona 500. And Michael Jordan won the Daytona 500. That's the big story.
Was that a real video? I don't know.
What?
That wherever was going around. Michael Jordan. He
owns the.
Okay.
I think it's Tyler Reddick is the guy's name.
Oh, yeah. Josh Reddick's brother. Yeah.
I think it's JJ's brother actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
JJ's
I think that's the case.
I thought it was Theo. No, that's Theo
Riddick. Yeah, close. You thought you had one. But yeah, Tyler Reddick, the winner of the Daytona 500, his car owned by Michael Jordan, and so a lot of Michael Jordan. Like,
congrats on the win. Yeah.
Much less about the guy that won the Daytona 500 because no one knows who he is. Lots of Michael Jordan content. And the All-Star game happened. So there we go. What you got for Tidbit? Tidbit is brought to you today by Live Casino and Hotel. They're giving away $1 million worth of free slot play, but you got to be there Fridays. They do the drawings. You must be present to win. Find out more by going to livech.com, and you got to be a Live Rewards member. So I would get signed up today.
At 24 years old.
By the way, the last time I looked up at the screen, it was 1-0. It's now 5. Like, we knew the U.S. and Canada were going to play for the gold medal, right? But like, I do not know what happened. I think you got me locked up in Orioles conversation, and I missed 4 goals as the USA is rolling over Sweden.
That's just what happens.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, it is 5-0. Nice. Well, they scored 4 goals in the second period.
All good.
Or maybe I don't know. Okay. He becomes the Anthony Edwards at 24 years old becomes the second player to be a first overall pick, 10,000 points scored, win an Olympic gold medal, and now All-Star Game MVP before turning 25.
If you had asked me who All-Star Game MVP was, we could have been doing this for a long time, brother. Yeah.
And they did like a little tournament thing. Is that what they did? I didn't even. I saw it started at like 5. I was like, why are they starting at 5?
Because I told you last week they have to show Olympic replays.
Oh, they do. Oh, okay. Oh, it was on NBC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what channel it was on.
No. That's how I did not realize how big.
I still forget that TNT doesn't.
We talked about it last week. We talked about the thing last week. Oh yeah, I mean that sucks
well,
because
they do have. That was the good.
Unrivaled. Unrivaled.
No, it wasn't. No, TNT had a good college basketball game. They had Providence St. John's.
They had the fight. Yeah,
that 20-minute brawl. I guess the brawl didn't last 20 minutes. But they sat there for 20 minutes figuring out who was ejected.
Wow.
Second player to accomplish those before 25. 10,000 points, gold medal, first overall pick.
Yeah.
And All-Star Game MVP.
So you didn't have to win a title?
No.
So LeBron.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go. Anthony Edwards, LeBron James. Well done. There you go. You want another one? Or?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
All right.
We're good. It's 12:30. I got to go. Tubular is brought to you today by the print issue of Pressbox. New print issue of Pressbox hitting stands on Wednesday. And it will have Cal Ripken on the cover.
Ooh.
Dave Ginsburg sits down with the Iron Man to talk about life at 65, his role within the ownership group. Again, you can find that starting Wednesday at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores for free, and you can also read it for free at PressBoxOnline.com. Here is what's coming up tubular-wise. The U.S. women putting the finishing touches on Sweden. They're in the third period there as they will punch their ticket to the gold medal game in women's ice hockey. Also, a little bit later on today in the Olympics, USA and Italy women's curling at 105. So the women beat Canada last Friday, which was massive, and then the men this weekend beat. Who did the men beat? Somebody this weekend that it was noteworthy as well, and I've already forgotten who it was.
You've been more locked in on the curling than I have, unfortunately.
God, you are really screwing up on that. The curling is the best part of the Olympics by far.
I guess maybe it's the hockey.
No, it's the curling. 105 on Peacock.
I enjoy watching
for
skiing,
USA Italy. Sure.
Did you see the guy that backflipped Or well, they have to do the backflip, but he finished backwards down the slope.
Did not.
That was pretty. That was
if
pretty
you
sick.
say so.
And it won because the other guy went out of bounds. So this guy just had to finish, but he like tumbled coming off of his flip and ended up backwards and was able to keep his feet.
Oh, how about that?
And finish. Yeah.
Neato. Terrific.
You don't care about this as much as I think you should, Glenn.
Skiing is not for me. Morgan's at North Carolina Central tonight at 7 on ESPN Plus, trying to keep the win streak going. And Coppin's at South Carolina State at 7, also on ESPN Plus. Everything else, go to GlennClarkRadio.com. Houston, Iowa State's decent tonight. That's at 9 o'clock on ESPN. Yeah, everything else, go to GlennClarkRadio.com. On some women's hoops this afternoon on Fox because it's President's Day. So Iowa, Nebraska right now, Utah, Oklahoma State after that. Non-sports?
No.
Okay.
Netflix has a reality check. Inside America's Next Top Model.
Oh, right. We're supposed to watch that for book club. That's what Rita
you
wants
have
to
to
do
watch
next.
this?
Yeah, she wants to do that one next. Okay. I admittedly never watched America's Next Top Model, so.
Explores the chaos in front and behind the camera.
There better be some malfeasance involved, or else if it's just a documentary about America's Next Top Model, I'm going to be angry.
I didn't watch the trailer. I have no clue what it's about.
All
right.
right.
It's like, this is the thing that's coming out today.
And,
that's it.
all right.
That's it.
Thanks, everybody at Pressbox. Thanks today to Zach Moore.
Thanks, Zach.
We'll get that up in the greatest hits section of the...
not Julia, but Jennifer Garner and Emma Thompson will be on Stephen Colbert tonight.
How about that? How about that? Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow?
Ed Hoddle.
Oh, good. I love Ed. Don't get me wrong. Stevenson, the former Stevenson football coach, he announced he was moving on last week. Launched that program. Has done an amazing thing. Actually, his son is the reason why Maryland lost on Friday night. Ed's son Wyatt was on it for Syracuse on Friday night.
So fight him over that, I guess.
Oh no, I was happy for him. I was texting with Ed during the game. I was like, "Holy crap, man, that is awesome." Wyatt and Cole both played lacrosse at Calvert Hall, and so Ed's going to have more time to be a lacrosse dad now, but we'll talk to him about that and stuff and things on the program tomorrow. Thanks to everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Leading Edge Auto Body, Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Costas Inn, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, Nick's Fish House, your Baltimore area High's Dairy Stores, CountySports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go Morgan, go Coppin, Duke sucks.